Alright, hey everyone, this is Ash. Welcome back to the King's Speech. So just a couple of small channel update things before we dive into the chapter proper. So the first thing is that Shonen Jump is going to be on break next week due to the Obon Festival holiday. So all of Shonen Jump is on break, so there will be no chapters dropping next week. So in lieu of that, I'm going to start to get back to read-throughs next weekend. So the current plan is I'll do the next volume of Yona of the Dawn, as well as get around to some more Berserk. Then after that, I'm going to rotate back in Bride's Story as well as Vinland Saga, which I started doing read-throughs for and I kind of got sidetracked by. But the manga recently ended with the last chapter last week. And so I kind of want to explore my thoughts and kind of catch up with the last arc, last couple of chapters I missed out on. So I want to cover the whole series again, picking up where I left off and kind of get into my thoughts on the finale, final arc, the whole series, things like that. So a lot of good stuff is going to be coming your way. So if you haven't already, please do like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. But also in the other news, the Akane-Banashi anime has finally been announced. I think everyone's kind of speculating that this was what it was going to happen, because I know they were teasing that there's going to be like a special chapter or something of the manga this week. And I think someone had noticed like the domain name for Akane-Banashi had also been like registered and things. But yeah, we have an official announcement now. Link to the trailer in the description below. So yeah, hopefully this will bring more fans into the series. Because despite like my feelings on it now, I still do think it's one of the better ones running in Shonen Jump. So hopefully this will bring a lot more fans into the series. So I'm looking forward to that. Without further ado, let us dive into it with Akane-Banashi, Story 169, False Classic. With story by Yuki Tsunaga, art by Takamasa Moe, with translation by Stephen Paul, and lettering by Sneeron. So we have, hold on, give me a second. Question: for the given points A00, B40, and C43, find the area of the triangle of the vertices A, B, and C. And you have, as long as you know the formula, the answer will unfold itself for you. Everything has a trick to solving it. I've just always had a knack for finding that trick. And he's a Karashi, just not paying attention as he just goes up to the board, annoying his professor with how easily he kind of solved the answer, solution to this problem, and then ran away. But yeah, it's like, I can do anything. That's my social status. You have like, he just has like his math book propped up and he's just like watching a video on his phone behind it. It's like, that's my social status, my source of confidence, my stack of evidence. So this had never happened before. Not only did I not know the trick to win, I think it's back to like when Akane just blew past his performance. Is this good or not? I can't even tell what this girl's going for. I couldn't even understand what I was watching. I'm sure if I accept this defeat, that'll be the end for me. I'll never get back to being the old me again. And he goes, hey Shoei, who's a famous classical rakugo aside from Isho Arakawa? So I've been biding my time. And he goes to a fucking blockhead bro. He's like, are you that satisfied at having performed your play pretend version of Kodan? It's like, this is classic traditional rakugo performed to specific, collecting all the cards I need for my hand. It's like, and he has a Chocho telling him, I know what your fatal flaw is. So it goes, all for this. It's like, I'm not interested in winning some vague and unsatisfying way, unlike somebody I know. I won't bruise that ego of hers until we're Futatsume. And the present, he goes, throughout human history, much has been made of rumors. The kanji for rumor consists of mouth on the left and respect on the right. Which is funny because most rumors are not particularly respectful. In politics, you have stories of corruption. Among entertainers and actors, the typical rumors of scandal are of scandal and adultery. The common people delight in such rumors today, just as much as they have in the past. He goes, hey Sadakichi, as he just like claps his hands, like, yes sir, you called for me, boss? Ah, there you are. Well, I've got a little task for you to do. Are you familiar with the kabuki actor Intaro Ichimura? He's like, of course. Why, Intaro Ichimura is the most popular actor in all of Edo. He was wonderful in the 47 Ronin recently. It's like, my sister, fear not. Your brother will carry on in your stead. Have at thee. It's like, all right, knock it off. Listen, the stories about Intaro say that while he's a married man, He's also got a side piece sees regularly. And you see him just like sticking out his pinky with the extended pinky refers to a mistress. He's like, ooh, well, they say that philandering enriches one's art. It's like, where'd you hear that saying? Listen, adultery is a crime. If the Lord hears about it, he could be tied to a raft and banished downstream. It's like, but if that happened in Taro, all of Edo would be in an uproar. It's like, exactly. So what do you think? Sounds like a lucrative nugget of news, doesn't it? It's like, we sell the news. It's all about dashing off tile block prints and selling them as fast as we can. And you have monkey see, monkey do. Sadakichi is a newspaper man who hears a rumor about a popular actor's infidelity. He sets out to uncover the truth. If that's true, we'll be selling out of tomorrow's papers. You have actors, adultery, news coverage, and one act of unfaithfulness that costs everything. It's like lose all sponsorships, removed from regular TV goods. An actor's career in crisis. This story is about a topic that has remained relevant through the ages. And you see one of the judges going, didn't know there were classics like this. And he's like, huh? He's like, oh, sorry, I'm in the variety show business, but I don't know the most about Rakugo. It's like, I'm aware. They brought you on as a judge to represent the general audience. And you see Honami Korea is producer. Please judge from the perspective of the lay audience as a novice to Rakugo. He's like, however, you're wrong. It's like, yes, I'm sure I am. So sorry for speaking out of turn. He's like, what do you mean wrong? It's like, under your breath, you said you didn't know there were classics like this. That's where you're wrong. There is no classic Rakugo story that goes like this. She's like, huh? It's like, my title is Guide to the Arts. For about 20 years, I've been listening to 300 Rakugo performances a year at least. 6,000 in total. On top of that, I'm even familiar with the stories that only exist in reference materials. So I can tell you for a fact that there's no classic Rakugo like this. She's like, then what is he performing? It's like he's using the backdrop of the classics as the foundation for an entirely new Rakugo story. And you see as Hikaru's watching this, you have, I'm not such a muscle brain that I'd attempt to challenge that Rakugo-obsessed fool on skill alone. So what are you saying? Are you going to try that thing again? Where you recreate a classic in the modern day? It's adapted Rakugo. That stuff might be a hit with the younger crowd, but the old yappers don't like it. So instead, I'll take the opposite approach. I'll rewrite the modern day as a classic. The story I tell contains something modern and relatable inside the trappings of the traditional arts. An entirely counterfeit take on the oldies. A false classic. Alright, so I guess quick thoughts on the chapter. Sorry, let me just pull up that page because I do like that little splash page at the end there. So yeah, I guess thoughts on the chapter. So Karashi's kind of exactly the kind of person I despise a lot. Who's kind of like the one, like life was just so breezy walking through. It was like I never had to put in like that much effort to kind of succeed at anything I tried. And kind of just like, everything is just easy. Like I can do anything because of that. Because like I know as soon as I figure out the formula, like everything is just like cake. So it is. I do like seeing the characters like that get humbled, where they kind of learn like, there are some things that they can't just kind of like breeze their way through. And I like that Rakugo, because all the things he kind of focuses on seems like, because the thing you see him solving at the beginning is like a mathematical equation. And you have the thing like, like people will kind of tend to look down on the arts versus the sciences, things like that. Because they're like, it doesn't take as much skill to do something in the arts. It's not as valuable, etc., etc. So I do like that as a contrast to showing him like that was the nut he couldn't crack was a Rakugo performance. Because again, it's in the arts. It's something that's tangential to something he was really good at. It doesn't really have a formula per se on how you're supposed to do things. So I do like that's the first pillar and kind of like roadblock he actually faced in his life. So I did like that aspect of it. But yeah, apart from that, like again, not really particularly compelling characters. Again, we don't really know enough of him outside of that. Unlike a character like Kageyama in Haikyuu, who's also kind of the same thing, was like a genius at one sort of thing. This is kind of different. It's like, this is a guy that's like a jack of all trades kind of deal, where he's like, he's good at multiple different things. But now he's kind of focusing on the one thing that he's not so good at. So it's kind of like, I feel like we need a little bit more background to kind of sympathize with him as a character, sympathize with kind of like his struggles. to overcome this. But I do like apparently how he's kind of like, because I feel like this chapter kind of pits him as being the closest to kind of Akane's generation rivalry, because I feel like they're both kind of trying to do the same thing in that regard. Because I think I dubbed what Akane is trying to do is kind of like freestyle Rakugo, where she's taking these familiar stories and kind of like remixing them, reinterpreting them, kind of like creating like this whole new connected kind of universe within them that didn't really exist before. And you have Karashi kind of doing something kind of similar, where he's like, oh, you know, he's taking like the trappings of Rakugo stories, like the setting, the culture, things like that, and he's using it to kind of put like a modern spin on it. So I do appreciate that aspect of his comic, because there are things, you know, that are universal that do carry on like from time to time to time. And like, I hate using this term for this, but like cancel culture in this regard, where it's kind of like, oh, you know, the gossip rags, the magazines, things like that, how quickly they can potentially ruin someone's life, is something that has been around for like ever and ever and ever. So I think that's a good kind of story choice for the kind of story that he's trying to tell and like invent, so to speak. So in that aspect, I will say this is a very, very clever chapter. It's like, oh, you know, you have someone who's like a Rakugo expert saying like, oh, you know, I've never heard of a story like this. This is completely new. And Karashi's just like, yeah, I'm making this shit up as I go along. So I'm very curious like where this is going to go and where Shomei's kind of lands on this. I don't know. This feels like it's going to cement him in third place, where he'll get like some kind of praise for like what he's trying to do and be innovative in. But yeah, I don't necessarily see him winning yet, but it's still early into the performance, so there might be some surprises coming my way, but we shall see. So with all that said, I hope you all did enjoy this chapter. If you did, you know, please do like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Apart from that, like I mentioned, next week Shonen Jump will be on holiday for the entire magazine. So no chapters will be dropping, but to fill that void, so to speak, I will get around to back to the read-throughs again. Apart from that, tell everyone you know that the Akane-Banashi anime is coming out. Try to get them to check out this series. But until next time, this is Ash. Talk to you all later.